Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm Derek and Catherine's behind the camera, and this is the guidebook. Today we're hiking the Decalibron loop, which actually summits 4 different 14ers: Lincoln, Cameron, Bross, and Democrat. We're really excited for this one. It's going to be cool to knock out 4 14ers in a 7-mile hike, but it will be pretty tough because I think there is about like 3,700 feet of elevation, but we're pretty excited for it. If you're going to come and do this loop, it is on private property, so you're going to need to make sure you sign the liability waiver beforehand for each person. And about a mile from the trailhead, there is a fee area sign where you can fill out your permit information and put your $8 for your day use in the thing, and you put it in the pay box, and then you take the other part of your permit and you put that up on your dash so they know you paid your permit and they know like which permit you're attached to. So we're about a quarter mile from the trailhead now, and it's definitely getting a little bumpier, but still nothing I don't think most, average decent clearance SUVs can't handle. I probably wouldn't want to come up here with a sedan unless you really go slow or don't care about your vehicle that much. We're doing this loop counterclockwise and hitting Bross first because that's what most of the reviews said to do, but it seems like there are a lot of people going up the Democrat side too, so really just pick what you want. Do you want to go up the scree slope on Bross or down it? It's a little after 6:30 this morning on a Friday, and the parking lot's already getting pretty full. We're about a mile in. We just came up this here, and it's starting to get pretty steep. I'm really glad we're coming up this because this would not be fun to come down. I'm also really glad we brought the poles. Up here near the top of Bross, you gotta really pay attention to make sure you're staying on the trail because it does go through private property. Just made it up to Bross. We're gonna come that way across. This is what's now considered the summit of Bross because the actual summit is on private property and you're not allowed to actually go up there. So we're just gonna kind of skirt along below over the next couple peaks. You happy that we're at least done with the first climb?
1 of 4. That wasn't as terrible as I thought it was gonna be.
The scree sections really weren't as bad as people were making it seem in the comments. I probably wouldn't really prefer to go down that, but it really wouldn't be terrible. You just have to go slow and take your time. And having the trekking poles definitely made it a ton easier.
For sure.
There's an area here where it kind of looks like there are 2 trails, but you can see they have that one there blocked by rocks. I also double checked AllTrails and it shows this is the trail as well. Finally got some sun on us. It feels so nice out here. Heading up towards Lincoln now. Then we'll come back and go up to Cameron, and then we'll have our last big climb up to the top of Democrat. I feel like that last big climb up to the top of Democrat's gonna be the hardest part. I feel like every 14er we've done where you're like linking to, or you kind of have to go down and then back up, that like second climb back up is always the hardest. I can remember on Red Cloud and Sunshine, coming back up over Red Cloud after hitting Sunshine, we were like, oh God, it was just killing our legs. But hopefully this one isn't too bad. Yeah, the sun is nice. That was a nice little jaunt up to Lincoln. Really wasn't too bad at all. Now we're gonna head up to Cameron, and we just talked to a guy who was going the opposite way, And he said between Cameron and Lincoln wasn't bad at all either. So hopefully we'll be up there soon. Made it to the top of Cameron. That was really quick. That guy was right. This one's definitely more of a mound than a peak. Making our way down, and then we're gonna head up there towards Democrat. This part of these trails always kind of messes with my head a little bit because you're up there at 14,000 feet and we're gonna drop a bunch of elevation just to go back up. I'm like, oh, I wish the ridge, stayed higher, but it'll be fun either way. It's just funny that it messes with your mind. You're like, it makes the downhill not feel as sweet, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Some people might understand what I'm saying, but when you're going down just to go back up, you're like, dang it, why am I going down? Maybe no one else relates that at all. Almost down at the bottom, then it'll be time to climb again. This climb is very rocky, but really hasn't been too bad so far. It's kind of hard to follow the trail though. Making our way up the climb. This climb has been pretty steep and rocky, but honestly, this has not been too bad. If I had to compare this to Bros, I would say this might be steeper, but it feels easier than climbing up Bros felt. So I'm glad that we did go counterclockwise. Bros just was like super slippery. This is definitely rockier and steeper, but feels more secure. So your feet aren't sliding around as much. And honestly, I just feel better than I felt coming up Bros. It just doesn't feel as hard. So glad we went this way. But talking to a few people along the trail, it seems like you can kind of go either way. It doesn't really matter that much. It's just what you prefer. Do you want to get your climbing more out of the way earlier on, or do you want to kind of space them out, climb Bros, have it kind of flat, come down a little bit, and then climb Democrat? So I think it just kind of depends on what you prefer. And if you feel really comfortable coming down slippery stuff on Bros, then maybe you go that way instead. Made it to the top of that first climb there. I have a little section here where it's not quite as steep, and the summit is in sight. Almost there. Whew. Look at that. All four in the bag. Look at this view. Mine right there is a little bit of an eyesore, but everything else, absolutely gorgeous. Got some snacks? We forgot to bring peak pickles.
I know. What the heck? Missed opportunity.
We started our 14er journey here in Colorado by always bringing pickles with us to have at the peak. We just felt like that was a good peak snack. And we haven't done any 14ers in a while, so we completely forgot about the peak pickles. I have to get some to get back in town. Didn't spend too much time up there. We're heading back down now. We don't want to leave the dogs for too long. Down to the junction. We just gotta head down to the trailhead. This descent has been pretty rocky and there's a lot of loose stuff, but since it's not as steep, it really has not been too bad. It's been nice having the poles, but I wouldn't say you like need them or anything. Almost back to the trailhead now, so we're going to show you the whole trailhead, all the signage, everything like that, just so you have all that information when you're planning your visit. Here's the trailhead. It is pretty big, but the parking spots do fill up relatively quickly. And this is a Friday. This isn't even a weekend. And here's the signage here. for pretty nice pit toilets here as well. There are picnic tables and fire pits here, but I think these are just for day use. There's a lot of signs right around the parking lot that say no camping. That being said, on the sign over there, there was a thing to pay to camp. So there must be a camping area or campsites or something along the road on the way in here somewhere. We just might not have seen them because it was dark out on the way in. This section of the road is probably one of the worst sections here. It's just some deep kind of ruts in here. Here's what looks like another little parking area a little ways down the road. This really isn't too far from the trailhead, so it should only add on a little bit. This is another pretty rutted section right here as well. I'm trying to stay high on this side. Woo! Scraped a little bit right there. Hopefully that was just the front air dam thing and not actually skid plate. But then, really other than that, the road is mostly like this. It's mostly pretty nice. Like most of this road, you could drive almost any car down. There are just a few sections where it is pretty rutted and you'll want a little bit higher clearance, especially if it's wet. You'll probably want 4x4. I have the truck in like auto 4-wheel drive, so if it needs it, it just kicks it on. But I don't know if we've even had to use it so far. Also, that sign that I showed you up there for the permits, that is up at the trailhead as well. I didn't know if there was going to be one at the trailhead, so we just filled out our permit at that one for about a mile from the trailhead. But there is also another permit thing up at the upper trailhead where you actually park. I think that lower one might be for if you're camping in this area, and I'm assuming maybe the camping area is in between that 1 mile mark away from the trailhead and the trailhead itself. We're at the start of the road now, and you can see this about the liability waiver. There's a little QR code, but service isn't great here, so I'd recommend just doing this ahead of time. There's a link on 14ers.com. I don't think this does anything. I thought this was to pay this morning, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Just some avalanche information. That's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we provided, enough information for you all to come do this hike yourself if you want to. We absolutely loved it, and it was actually easier than I thought it was gonna be. It's definitely hard, it's definitely difficult, but it was easier than I thought it was gonna be. So I guess just take that with a grain of salt. And as far as going up Bross and then hitting Democrat last, I really enjoyed that. I thought that going up Democrat was not bad at all. What do you think, Catherine?
I agree. Yeah, I thought Democrat was a lot easier than Bross.
Yeah, okay, so we both think that it was smart to go counterclockwise, but we saw people going the other way too. Everyone seemed to be having a good time, so just make a decision based on what you like. If you did enjoy this video, then subscribe to the channel, and as always, leave better than you found it.